afternoon. I am super excited for today's video. It has been requested by one of my subscribers, so if you ever want one of your suggestions to become a video, let me know down below. But today we are making gluten-free bread. I get a lot of questions on a regular basis about how I make gluten-free bread, and there's tons of different types that I make. Today we're gonna make a simple kind of baguette style bread to dip in soup. I like calling it soup bread because that's what I eat it with. It's super quick. You don't have to let it rise overnight. This is going to be a same day make, so it is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I will be eating this soup bread with some soup for dinner. So let's get started. Also, before I forget, my Moomin mood mug of the day is the little camping one, because I wish I were camping, but it's a little out of season and I have a thing called work that I have to go to. So we drink out of the camping mug because that's where I want to be. As per my usual recipes, I will be weighing everything out. If you want to know what it is in cups, look it up on Google. There's a conversion chart. For my flour, I will be using a mixture of the Shar Universal Mix and the Shar bread flour. I would recommend using the bread flour as much as you can, but the store was just out of another bag and I don't have enough for this recipe. But we're gonna start this recipe with 450 grams of flour. Next, we are going to add 9 grams of salt, this salt grinder. And we're going to whisk this to combine. Next, we're going to add 25 grams of sugar. I'm adding about 20 grams to this bowl, and I'm going to do 5 grams in my bowl with the yeast. Well, I forgot to record putting the yeast in. This is 10 grams of fresh yeast. You can also use active dry yeast or instant yeast. You're just going to want to use less. I believe for this recipe, instant yeast will be about 2 to 3 grams. To our yeast and sugar, we're just going to add a little bit of water. We want this to be warm. I'm adding about 50 grams, or maybe 58. This is warm to the touch, not hot, and we're gonna let this just activate the yeast. One thing that you want to do with this recipe is to make sure that your water and flour ratios are consistent. I typically go with about 1:1 just because I find that's the easiest ratio for me to work with. You can see here that the yeast mixture is all nice and fluffy. Now that our yeast mixture is all nice and fluffy and activated, we are going to pour it into our dry mix with the rest of our water. Now I think this ended up being almost 60 grams of water that we put in here. So we're gonna add the rest, which in total you want about 450. So we're gonna put 390 in because math. So just pour in the rest of our water. Now we're just gonna mix to combine. I like using a wooden spoon to start with, but once we need to kind of get it out of the bowl and start really working with it, rubber spatula helps so much. You are more than welcome to do this part of the process with a stand mixer with a dough hook or with a handheld electric mixer using this kind of dough hooky thing. I'm going to use it with a spoon and just do it by hand, just because I want to show you guys that it is entirely possible to make this without fancy kitchen utensils. But you are going to get a little bit more of a workout this way.
During this part of the process, you want to make sure that your workstation and hands are heavily floured, or else your dough will stick to literally everything. Then you just want to start kneading a bit and throwing and slapping it around, because it helps.
Nice and squishy, still a little tacky. I'm going to wash my hands and then we'll put some oil in our bowl. Large mixing bowl, I threw some olive oil in there, and now I'm just making sure the whole bowl is lightly coated in that olive oil. Put my hands so it doesn't stick to my hands. Form this into a nice little dough ball, baby. And plop it down in our bowl. Next, I'm just covering our bowl with a warm, damp dishcloth. And we're going to put it in a warm place to rise for however long it takes to double in size. This is what our dough ball looks like now. And we'll see it in a little bit. Let it go take a little nappy nap. Okay, well, it has been a little bit longer than it should have been to let the dough rise because, as you may have seen in some other videos, I have a cat and he is now stuck on the roof and there's nothing I can do to get him off until he decides to come back. Like, it's not dangerous and he can 100% come back onto my balcony if he wants to. He just doesn't want to. So, eventually he'll get hungry and he'll come back. Anywho, I have the oven preheating, as you can tell from this wonderful breeze. And the dough has doubled in size. See this nice, jiggly, fluffy dough ball. It's kind of like a butt. Very nice and tushy-like. So we're not going to need these a whole lot because we want to keep that nice, like, texture. Do you have your little loaf formed? Just gonna put it on whatever you're baking on. I'm using one of these little loop-de-loop type pans because I think they get it nice and crispy. And just for funsies, one of our longer loaves is going to be done as a twist, and our other larger loaf is just going to be left puffy because that's what I want. Once again, we're going to cover this with a damp rag and wait for it to prove. Okay, our oven is heated, so just before it goes in, you're going to want to take a sharp knife or a scoring tool and just score the top of your bread. This will help it rise more. Then it goes in the oven.
When you put your bread in the oven, you want to make sure you have a kettle of boiling water to pour into a hot cast iron or tray at the bottom of your oven. This is going to help create all that steam to keep it crispy.
And yes, the little escape artist has finally come back. This is going to stick in the oven for about 24 minutes. We're going to turn the loaves about halfway through so that way they get golden brown on all sides. And I'm going to shower this one with love, so hopefully he won't leave me again. Well, our bread is done. Well, I'm gonna let the bread cool for a little bit, but not too long because I'm excited to eat it and I'm hungry. It's not even dinner time yet. Wow. I took longer to make this bread than usual because I had to deal with my cat on the roof, and I'm still done an hour before dinner time. Anywho, I will catch back up with you when I am done making my soup. Okay, I know the lighting's not great, but this is the only light in my living room. And it's winter in Germany, so it's dark. This is a pumpkin, coconut, and lentil soup. It's so delicious. It holds up to the soup really, really well. It's kind of got that chewiness that I absolutely love. It has a fantastic flavor. Yeah. I'm gonna eat the rest of my dinner, and I'll see you next time.